friends. Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts. Happy October, friends! I'm so excited to be back with you again today for episode 73. Some super exciting news that I've been waiting to share with you is that we are officially going back to weekly episodes of the podcast. Woohoo! I'm so excited to be going back to those weekly episodes where you can have consistent encouragement and inspiration every single week. Another super fun announcement is that this month we're doing a mini-series on the topic of entrepreneurship and pursuing a vision. So in this 4-part series during the month of October, you're going to hear from artists who are at different stages of bringing a God-given dream to life. I can't wait for you to hear each of these guests because they're all incredible and they each bring so much wisdom and inspiration. I love hearing their stories, and I think you're going to be encouraged no matter where you are, but especially if you are someone who has a dream or a vision inside you that you feel like God is calling you to pursue. In this episode, we'll be having part 1 of our 4-part series with Coquoz. Kaya is the founder of TeaJoy Daily Devotionals, which combines her love of tea with her love of writing and her passion for sharing the hope of Jesus with others. Kaya is also a member of Open Sky Connecticut. She shares about growing up and the passion that she had for dance and how that continued to develop over the years. She went on to attend Bible college and then ended up dancing professionally in Colorado and now in Connecticut. We spent a lot of the episode really diving into TeaJoy Daily Devotionals and what it was like starting her own business and really stepping out in faith. I love how she talks about it's okay to not feel like we have it all together or that we know exactly what we're doing because God is with us. And we talk about how important it is to have an encouraging support system around you as you jump into a new venture. Just so you know, there's a short little bit of time in the middle of the episode where you may hear some hammering in the background, and that's because there was some construction going on near where Kaya lives. I'm so excited for you guys to get to hear from Kaya today, and I encourage you to check out TeaJoy Daily Devotionals on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy my conversation with Kaya Coquoz. Super excited to have you on the show today.
Me too.
Hi, this is so fun. And
yes.
I also, in the spirit of things, have a cup of tea. So yes, I love it.
Yeah. Mine's still brewing, so.
Perfect, same.
Yeah.
That's me. What kind of tea do you have right now?
I have my own blend. It's called Ever-Present Help. Ooh. It has ginger and yerba mate and what's in there? Holy basil.
Ooh,
so it's those 3.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
I just did peppermint right now, but I'm
perfect.
Very much a chai person. But I already had one earlier.
Yes. Pumpkin chais are coming out and I'm excited about it.
Yes. I've never tried a pumpkin chai, so
good.
I'm going to have to do that. Yay. Well, I'm super excited. I feel like I've seen your work for a little while on Instagram, and it's really, really fun to put a face to a name and an account.
Yes.
And then also kind of hearing about you through Jessie Winters as well. So are you dancing for Open Sky Connecticut right now?
I am. Yes. Yeah. I just had rehearsal today. I taught class today. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Small
I've been
world.
with them since January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited to just hear more about your journey today and
for sure.
your business, which we'll get into. But do you want to just share kind of the elevator pitch, brief intro to who you are?
Yeah.
We'll dive in.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I'm Kaya Coquoz. I don't know how much to say. I am 25. And I'm originally from Colorado, but I am living in Connecticut right now with my husband. And we moved out here so he could go to grad school. And I have been dancing and working. I was going to school when we came out here, and then it wasn't the right fit. I was trying to go back to school because I have an associate's in biblical studies, and I was trying to go back for a bachelor's, basically just in something. And I went for art history, and it wasn't the right fit for me. So I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, what do I do if I'm not doing school. Like I'm working already full time, but I still have a lot of time on my hands. Like, because I know I'd be someone to just sit and watch Netflix and be like, okay, I'm done with work today. I'm done. But I still had a lot of time on my hands. So I was like, what could I be doing if I'm not going to school? And I just kind of started praying through that and just talking to the Lord about it, of just like, okay, if school is not where I'm supposed to be, give me something else. Cause I'm just like, I need to be doing something. I'm a doer, definitely.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, those like dreams that you've been dreaming about of like starting things, like try one of those. And so that's where I started. I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually start one of these things and start doing something. I'm like, oh, this could be a cool idea. And I was like, okay, Lord, is this it? And there was green lights for the rest of the way. So yeah, very excited. That's kind of how it started, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. And so now you have a company called TeaJoy Daily Devotionals.
Yes.
Do you want to give just like a brief, I guess we'll talk probably more in depth about it in just a bit, but a brief overview of what it is?
Yeah. So TeaJoy Daily Devotionals is a monthly subscription service at its core. It is a monthly subscription that you get a box of tea, you get 14 servings of tea and 14 daily devotionals. So you can do them all at once or go through the month and take your time with it. They're not like January 1st. This day. So so it's definitely like relaxed and you can do it kind of at your own speed. They're nice, short little writings. Takes about 5 minutes to read through it with verses. And then all of the tea is hand blended, organic. I blend everything myself.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And all prayed over, all definitely like from the Lord. It's not just like, oh, I like this. It's like, okay, God, what do you want in this specific tea? What verse do you want it to be inspired by? What is the title of the tea? Like the one I told you that I'm drinking is Ever Present Help. And so it's just, it's a kind of tea that helps your throat and stuff like that, but it's from the Lord. It's him giving you that help and him giving you that blessing. So
I love that connection.
Things like, yeah. So it's not just making good tea, which I want to do, but it is all from the Lord. So both aspects of it are all from the Lord. And then, so that is like a monthly subscription box at its core, but you can also get just a one-time box. All of my teas are for sale as well, just to get them individually. Awesome. So that's kind of what it is.
So cool. I'm excited to hear how this all, like more in depth of how it all came about and everything. So I know in your bio, you mentioned that you're a passionate person.
Yes.
And I love that. And I was just wondering, how has that passion kind of like expressed itself in your life thus far?
Yeah. So growing up, I was just like all in with whatever I was doing. I was all in, which didn't leave a lot of time for things like friends and stuff like that. But I was a dancer. I was like, I am a dancer. That is all I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm here for dance. If I make friends, cool. If not, cool. My weekends were dance. My after school was dance. And I like grew up going to church and stuff. And when I got more involved with my church, I was like, I'm doing all of the VBS. I'm doing all of the Sunday school. I'm serving at everything I can. Any opportunity I'm there for, I'm here, I'm doing it. And then when I went to Bible college, because at that point I was like, okay, I want to dance. I want to do like something for the Lord, but I still wasn't sure what I was doing. I was like, let me go to Bible college. I'll dance on the side. And even for a moment in Bible college, I had a friend that told me, they're like, hey, is dance an idol in your life? And it was just like such a like a random,
where'd that come from?
No, we were like doing homework and she was like, is dance an idol? And then just like went back to like doing her homework. I was like, okay, let me process. Right. And like just that passion of like, Lord, if it's not of you, I don't want it. And I was like so there for it. And so I was like ready to quit. I was like, God, if you want me to quit, I'll quit. Wow, and I will just do missions. And I've been on several mission trips. So I'm like, I'm here, like, let's go all in for everything. And when I did just say, okay, God, if dance isn't of you, I don't want it anymore. I'm done. He's like, okay, here's your first paid gig. And he was like,
whoa, that's cool.
Like all the opportunities to like worship him through it from that. So after college, I was dancing for a company for about 4 years. And so I was all in for that. And anytime I get a job, I'm like, okay, it's not just like a side job. I'm like, okay, how can I grow the business? How can I
That's
how can I do
amazing.
that?
Yes.
So
Really like truly partnering with whoever you're working for.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Cool.
But yeah, so it was just kind of almost a natural progression. I never thought I would own a business, but it really was like, if there was a dream, if there was a spark, if there was something, it was like, okay, let's fully do this and not just do it halfway and hope for the best. Like, we're going to go in and do it as best as I can.
Right. So did you grow up mostly doing like ballet, or what styles of dance did you do?
I am not a ballet dancer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries.
I have
kind
done
of assumed
ballet.
that. I'm not even sure why. I guess because that's my journey.
Yeah. Well, Open Sky Connecticut is a ballet company, so I'm not, God's working on me. But no, so I grew up doing pretty much all styles. I started with hip hop.
Nice.
Hip hop and jazz were kind of my thing, or still kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done ballet. I do ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, modern. I was in a modern company in Colorado for 4 years.
Okay.
So whatever the choreographer needs me to do, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
Love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when was the first, because I know you mentioned about like giving, almost like giving dance up, or like saying, God, this surrendering it to him.
Yeah.
When do you feel like your faith and dance kind of like intersected?
Yeah, it was definitely in college, because growing up, I didn't grow up in a Christian dance studio.
Yeah.
It was like, I went to church and I danced, but it was very separate almost.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I dance for the Lord, but I'm still dancing for me, basically.
Gotcha.
I just had the label Christian on myself.
Right.
And I went to college, and that was really when my faith deepened, when I went to that Bible college. Yeah, because I was like, oh, I grew up in church. Like, I know what I'm doing. And then, yeah, that was really when my faith became my own.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it was like, oh, no, this is more than just going to church on Sunday. Like, this is, there's a lot more to this, and really surrendered my life to the Lord and started hearing from him and feeling the Holy Spirit and living a life led by the Holy Spirit. So that was when my faith walk definitely deepened. And then the college that I had didn't have a dance program.
Okay.
But I basically was like, God, when I was trying to figure out where I was going to college, I was like, if I can't dance, I'm not going. Yeah. So I was like, I went out like a year before to try to find just a studio to train at.
Yeah.
Just like a local something. And so I went out, and my parents we went to a couple studios in the area, and my mom found a Christian dance studio, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh, there's a Christian dance studio in the town. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Like, wasn't expecting a lot. I was expecting people with really good hearts for the Lord, but not excellence in the dance.
Mm-hmm.
I thought those things were very separate almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely kind of that, I would say, like a stereotype that
it is.
Most of us kind of have had that experience of like thinking that, or maybe seeing things and you're like, it's like cool, but they're not really like super trained or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I had been dancing since I was 3 at that point. I was kind of big fish in a little pond in my hometown. So I was at the top of my game in my small town. And so I go into the studio, not expecting a lot, but kind of just to please my mom. I was like, maybe I'll take one class here. Mm-hmm. And I jumped into just an open jazz class, not expecting much. And it kicked my butt. And that studio ended up being absolutely fantastic. I was coming in as a freshman in college, having to take intermediate ballet and intermediate hip hop because I wasn't good enough to be an advanced. And so it was just like very humbling, first of all. And, but they were incredibly trained, but they were also dancing for the Lord and actually dancing for the Lord instead of just like putting the Christian label on it. And they were worshiping.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I was like, if this is something I can do, let's do it. And then after I graduated from college, I went back to my hometown, and I just had a friend. I barely knew her at the time. And she's like, hey, I'm kind of starting this modern company. Do you want to join? She's like, I think you're a Christian, right? I'm like, yeah, I am. And
nice. Yeah.
It ended up being, again, pairing that excellence with dance. And because like we're doing it for the Lord, we should be putting our best into it, right?
Exactly.
Like we're not just doing it for applause. Like we're doing it for the Lord. We don't want to give him just a mediocre show or whatever.
So good. Yeah.
So yeah, we trained a lot and we trained hard for that company.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a part of the journey, like continuing on and just realizing after moving away, oh, like I need to be dancing for God. Like it's not just I'll be able to find a dance studio to teach at or a company to be a part of anywhere I go. It's like, no, I need to dance for God wherever I am. So that's been kind of that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been really, really cool.
That is super cool. And then how did you get connected up with Open Sky Connecticut?
That was a complete God thing. So me and my husband moved here to Connecticut in last May. So May of, 2021?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was doing school, I was working, and I was just trying to figure out where to dance and how to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was seeing, there wasn't a lot of Christian dance in this area, but I didn't have the connections yet. I didn't know how to find the Christian dance in this area.
Yes, that makes sense.
And so I ended up, I don't know how I got connected with them, but I was doing a virtual dance company based out of Texas.
Oh, cool.
It was like a first time trial thing. We rehearsed over Zoom once a week, which was not easy. And then we got to tour with them because that's Dance Revolution out of Texas. It's a Christian dance convention that is absolutely fantastic.
So cool. There's so many people that I've talked to that have been part of that. And I'm actually interviewing Michelle Brogan.
Oh, perfect.
Pretty soon.
She's incredible.
So excited.
She's absolutely incredible. So yeah, that was awesome. And it was really cool to be a part of that from afar. And I was like, I love what you're doing. And I just am so honored and grateful to be a part of it. They're not doing it virtually anymore because we had just our group was virtual. So at the end of last year's tour was finishing up in January and I wasn't going back to school. I was like, my schedule's free again.
Oh, yeah.
And I found Open Sky in general on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how I started I was just starting to follow Christian dance things. I was just trying to broaden my just reach of like people knowing me knowing people. And I found Open Sky, started following them. And then I guess back in fall, they were like, Open Sky Connecticut starting. I was like, I'm in Connecticut. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, I'm in Connecticut. What do you do? And I kind of started talking to Jesse Winters at that point, but it didn't work with my schedule. Once January came, my schedule was open. And so I reached back out and started talking to her. She's like, we're kind of mainly contemporary ballet. And I was like, sure, let's go for it. It's not really what I do, but I will try and I will do whatever God wants me to do. And so I started dancing with them once I was done with Dance Revolution in January. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's so good. So you mentioned you did some mission work. So what kind of mission stuff have you done?
Yeah. So in high school, my youth pastor just kind of out of the blue was like, hey, we're going to do a trip to Haiti. Oh, who's coming, basically? And I was like, I have to be on that trip. At that point, my walk with the Lord was very superficial, but I was like, I have to go on that trip. And I mean, I realize now that was the Holy Spirit pushing me, but didn't know why. I was like, I'm going. I wasn't really close with my youth group, but so it was like really nerve-wracking for me to just go on this trip with a bunch of people that I kind of didn't really know.
Yeah.
But I went and I was like, I need to be doing this. The trip itself probably wasn't great, I guess. It's a short-term mission trip with a bunch of high schoolers.
Right.
You're not changing the world. Like it's more for you than it is for them. But it really opened my eyes to, it was the first time I was out of the country as well. So it was just like, there is so much in the world that I need to see, first of all. And then just like seeing what God is doing in other places, I want to be a part of that. So I did that trip in high school. I did a semester abroad in college.
Oh, cool.
And so I got to travel. It was a whole like Life of Paul tour, which was super fun.
That'd be really cool.
was really cool. We started in Israel. We went to Malta. We were in Greece for the longest. And when we were in Greece, we did some mission stuff.
Okay.
We did, there was a lot of refugees in Greece at the time from all over the Middle East. And so we helped with a church that was made up of like refugees from, I think, Iran. We got to help out with that church for like 2 months.
Nice.
And then we finished up that trip in Italy, which was just so great.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, I went to India with my pastor for my home church and our missions leader. And we were there for 2 weeks in India, just helping out with like local church planters and teaching them, kind of just giving them a bunch of Bible classes so they could go and teach their people. So just a lot of training programs for the local missionaries that were there.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
So that one was exactly, that one was a really cool chance to be a part of. I had a couple things lined up that didn't take, but I'm ready. I'm itching to go back out. And so, yeah.
A lot of stuff probably got on pause for, the pandemic and everything. So that's good that things are opening back up and more opportunities to go ahead and travel and be, around the world. Yeah. So that's so awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And man, that would be very transformative for sure. Doing like, life of Paul and just walking kind of where he walked and stuff. And it was really cool. So cool. We got to go to Israel in 2019. And that was just, it was incredible. Just everything. You're like, there's just so much history and like richness and so good. We could probably just talk for a long time about that, but So you were saying it was kind of around this time when you decided not to do school, and then we're kind of like, what do I do next? So, and there were like, you're saying dreams that you had. So what were some of those dreams that kind of have come to fruition now, I guess? Yeah.
So goodness, as far as I can remember, at least from high school, I felt like I was supposed to write. I journal a ton. I write down all my prayers, stuff like that. So I have just gobs and gobs of journals that have been filled out. And I was like, I feel like I should be doing something maybe. And it was just like a tiny spark. Yeah. I was like, maybe you should write. And then I had a mentor a couple years back that she started writing, went from journaling to writing to publishing a book, which was really, really cool just to see her kind of go through that process. Yes. Like, well, maybe I could do something like that. Right. But then I didn't really know what. I was like, I want to write, but what do I write?
Right. Makes sense.
And it's like, how do I start? Where do I go? And my mentor was like, well, I just started by just writing. Just start writing. She's like, I do like half an hour a day. I just write.
That's good.
And I was like, okay, I'm just going to start writing. And then I was like, I didn't have the what yet. I was just like, okay, just writing. And I'm like, started journaling basically on my laptop. I was like, I'd rather just write it in my journal instead. And so that kind of like petered out a little bit. And my husband and I were talking, we're like, a while back, probably, we were just saying, oh, it'd be cool to start something. I was like, well, maybe I should be writing devotionals or something like that. Because maybe that's not as daunting as a book. Yeah. If I don't have a what yet. And I was like, okay, maybe I can start writing down devotionals. So I kind of started trying to brainstorm that, and it was kind of working. And then it was like, well, there's a ton of devotional stuff out there. What would be different? And it started out, my husband, Jordan, he had the idea of doing devotionals and blankets. It's like, that sounds great. I'm just like a cozy little package of just, I was like, well, I don't make blankets. Right. Like I don't knit, I don't sew, I don't. So I was trying to figure out, I was like, I love the idea of like the coziness, but what could we do that we could actually do? Yes. Instead of just buying blankets to resell. And then it kind of turned, it was like, oh, what about like tea? I love tea. I drink tea every day. I drink too much tea every day. Same. What if we have like a devotional book that is almost like an advent calendar where you like pop open the box of tea, and we're like, oh, that could be a fun idea. Yeah. And so it just that was kind of brewing in the back. And I was like, oh, like TiVos, like tea devos. Like it's going to be TiVos. I like that. And so I wrote that down, but then like life happens and busy and school and moving, and it was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, what do I do now? And I was like, well, I had an idea. Let's see if we can do something with this. And I was actually supposed to be, it was last November, I was working on finals and I was miserable in all my classes. I had never complained so much in 4 months than I did that semester. I was like, this can't be right. This can't be right. And so I just started looking into just like some Google searches of what it would take to start something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, maybe do I want to blend my own tea? I didn't really know that that was an option. How do I buy someone's tea wholesale? Is that an option?
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that? And so at that point I was like, oh, I need to start writing devos.
Yeah.
And so I really started to just like kind of play around with that. But then I found that there were options to get certified as a tea blender. And I was like,
cool.
Is that a thing? And then I did more research and like becoming a tea master and becoming a tea sommelier and things like that I had no idea were out there. I just love tea.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I could do this. And so I was like, I don't know how well this is going to go, but I'm feeling like God's behind it and things are opening up and I'm excited.
Yes.
This is exciting to me. So I started looking for courses that I could get certified in some of these things.
Cool.
And so I took it's like a 4-part course to become a tea sommelier certified from Tea Masters in China. It was super intense.
Yeah, it sounds really fascinating too.
It was really, really fascinating. Took a ton of notes. I still have to go back to my notes several times because I'm like, wait, I need to hear that again. And just kind of with those courses, it was getting a lot of knowledge of like Eastern medicine and Eastern like herbalist ideas and stuff like that. And I was like praying about it like in these courses and just like, feeling that like the Holy Spirit was like, I want to bring light to that for me. Because like we know that certain herbs and things like that are good for you.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of times in Eastern medicine, there can be some sort of spirit or whatever that people can turn to or whatever. So I was like, okay, I know the Lord created these herbs and teas and things like that. How can I create healthy blends of tea for the Lord using this knowledge that is there? It's real stuff. So
that's super cool. Yeah.
It's like, how can we do this? And so I got to learn a lot before starting. I was like, I keep realizing the more I did research and more I was like, oh, well, what if I made a business out of this? The more I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like, okay, I need more information, do more classes.
Right.
And I'm not a business major. Like every turn I was like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I think he kind of brought me to a lot of places of like, that's good because then I'm not in the way of it. God's going to do the whole thing because I don't know what I'm doing.
So true. That's
like
so
I have
good.
like prior knowledge of how to start a business or how to blend tea. And I started getting my LLC and the TiVo idea that I had, the domain wasn't there. So I was just like, well, what domain can I get? And that's where TeaJoy came from, which again was all from the Lord because I just started typing in my laptop and I was like, this one's open. Like, nice. I'll get that.
That is so real too with like names. I feel like the name can be one of the most challenging parts because you can have ideas and then be like, oh, that's not available. Can't do that one. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
But I love TeaJoy much better than TiVo or whatever that was. It fits way better.
Yeah, I like TeaJoy as well.
Yeah, so like every turn I ended up getting tea one day and then I was like, I hope I can do this. Like I hope this works. I hope I can blend tea and it tastes good. Right. And God's like you don't know what you're doing, but I do, and that's fine. Like that's how it's supposed to be. And so, and even when I find myself now that I have a couple blends under my belt, I'll go and be like, oh, I'm just gonna make a blend today. and it is like undrinkable. I'm like, that's gross. Like, and it was like, okay, Lord, how do you want to make this tea? Like, this is kind of my idea. What do you have? And then it's like, oh, wow, that's actually really good.
Nice.
So
that's really cool
yeah.
we don't always, I think, necessarily think about what's the word I'm looking for here? Basically, like really listening to God sometimes in some of the things that seem very like day to day or like our job or whatever, So
Yeah.
I think that's such a great example of like surrendering to God in some of those things and
Yeah.
following his guidance, even in something that we may not have like originally thought we needed to, or,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to dive a little bit more into just the idea of like when we don't feel adequate or
Oh my goodness. Yes.
like that we know what we're supposed to be doing or whatever. So do you want to share a little bit more about that journey and some of those struggles that come with starting something new or like birthing something,
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that was almost a daily struggle.
Yeah.
And I mean, the enemy just loves to use our weak points and gets in there. And so for me, it's been throughout my journey just in life, just a lot of self-doubt and like putting myself down. And even when I started dancing more professionally, there was a lot of like imposter syndrome of like, who are you? I was going to teach master classes. I'm like, who am I? Like, I'm no expert in this. And then I'm like, no, Kai, like you are the expert in this. Like you are the professional dancer here. Like you have made it.
Yeah.
But
that's such a real thing though, that we, I think, deal with, is that sense of like, I don't belong in this role or, I'm not qualified or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Sure. Yes. Yes. So I've always been struggling with that. And so starting something new, really stepping out in faith, the enemy is going to kick you so hard.
Yes.
Especially when you're trying to A, step out in faith and B, step out in faith for the Lord.
Yeah.
He's like, those are two things I don't like. He's going to attack you 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Which is also encouraging that you're on the right track.
That's true. That's a great way to look at it. Like if you're meeting that resistance, that's probably a good sign that you are.
It's a good sign, but it's really hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like a daily of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What have I done? Like I'm starting to invest not only time, but my own personal money into this.
Yeah.
I did have like my parents and my in-laws, love them. They supported, but I still had to pay a lot out of pocket, and I'm still paying a lot out of pocket to birth this thing. And so, okay, I'm spending time, I'm spending money. Now it's kind of taking over my house with space.
True. I bet. Yeah.
Is this worth it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Can I do this? Can I make this? Yeah. So the Lord definitely encouraged me a lot of like, when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It was like, that's okay, because I do. So there was definitely that encouragement, which was great.
Yes.
But it was also a lot of people around me that encouraged me in things.
So good.
My husband is always the best cheerleader for me. And like, yes, he's like, I'm investing in this. I'm investing in you. We're going to do this. You're doing great. Your tea is great. He's not a tea drinker. So he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. I'm like, cool. We also have some roommates right now that aren't believers. And so they've been in this process with me, seeing this all come to pass. And it's been really cool because they have encouraged me a lot.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
It's been incredible how God has used them to encourage me. And they both are tea drinkers. And so I'll be like, hey, can you try this? And they're like, this is a really, really good cup of tea. Like this, I can tell there's quality in here. I can tell there's time and care and like, what you're doing. So when I'm like, well, awesome. I like it, but is anyone else going to like it? Like I have a weird palate. I know that. So is anyone else? And so just like having that encouragement of like, no, that's a really good cup of tea. I would buy that. And it's not just because I know you. It's like, so like that has been really encouraging. And when I'm like,
for sure,
am I just like putting out a mediocre product, or like, does my website look professional? Does my Instagram look professional? Because I'm like, I'm just taking pictures around my house of my mugs that I have that I've collected over the years. Like, does this look like just like some personal account, or does this actually look like a brand?
Mm-hmm.
And so having them saying like, no, your Instagram looks good. It looks professional. Your website design looks good. Your logo, your art, things like that of like it's cohesive, like things like that of just like an outsider's perspective almost of just like someone that has no bias, basically. I guess they're my friends, but no bias of like, oh, well, it's Christian, so it's okay if it's like whatever, mediocre. And
that's so helpful to have.
Yes. Yeah. And not like a family member of like, oh, it looks great. And
exactly.
Which I love when like my mom tells me that I made good tea, but I'm like, you're supposed to say that.
It always helps to hear it from multiple sources.
Yes, it really does. It really does. And so they've been a huge blessing of just speaking into me when I'm like stressed or doubting, or they're like, Kaya, you're doing well. And this is really good. Awesome. And then when I first got my devotional book printed, my first one printed, I got them in the house. I went to show my roommates. They're like, one of them was like tearing up. They're like, we are so proud of you. Like you've accomplished this.
That's
and
incredible.
This looks good and professional and well done. And I'm like, oh, wow. So just, yeah, a lot of like in my personal space, my husband, my roommates, so incredible. And then just people now that it's starting to get out in the world. We launched in September 1st. So we are 19 days old.
That's amazing.
And so we're not making hundreds of dollars a day, but anytime a friend will buy something, and I just that support of like friends or family members purchasing something, and then getting a few texts here and there like, oh my gosh, I tried your tea today, it's so good. Or like my friend will post, she's posted on her story of like, read this devotional, like impacted so much with my cup of tea. And just even that is just so encouraging.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of encouragement. I don't feel like I am a words of encouragement type of person, like the love language, but I'm realizing how much I'm needing it right now.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, you're doing good. You're doing good. Just like each step of the way, you're doing good. You're doing it right.
Seems like that's such a vital piece when you're in that kind of a pioneering, like doing something new and kind of going out on that limb or faith walk for sure. So that is super encouraging. And I'd love to hear, what's your favorite part of what you do with TeaJoy?
Oh my goodness. I'm loving all of it, which is so cool. And sometimes it's a job. It gets stressful sometimes, but when I'm just like doing my thing, writing or blending, trying the new herbs and teas that I have to try everything. And so I'll just be sitting there. I'm like, this is really cool. I'm just going to drink 5 pots of tea today and just write. This is what I need. And I need to be doing this. It's not like I'm wasting time. Like
exactly. This is on your to-do list, essentially, right?
On my to-do list to drink all this tea. And it's, when I first realized that I was looking for a wholesaler for my tea, and I found one, and they sent me samples. This was back in like February. So really early on in the whole process.
Yeah.
Me and my husband were kind of hanging out, and I was starting to like taste my teas. I was like realizing, I'm going to have to drink a lot of tea. This sounds great. Yeah. So it was like, wow, I have to try it all. And then I have to make sure it tastes good. And I have to make sure it tastes good iced and hot.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
And then I have to make sure it tastes good plain or with honey or with milk. Or so I have to, because I'm wanting to make sure it's not just like, this is the tea, this is my tea. I want it to be like a wide range of whatever one likes. So if you like to drink tea with honey, I want to know that and be able to pair you with a blend that works well with honey. Or you only like iced tea. Cool. That's not my thing, but let's get you with teas that are going to be good iced, things like that.
That's super smart.
I have to try it all.
Yes. I love that. Does seem like a good fit for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. So what is kind of the future vision, I guess, for TeaJoy?
Yeah. Future vision. We're just getting on our feet.
Yes.
We're just trying
that's the main goal. Yeah.
That's the main goal. We had a pretty good launch.
Yeah.
And then it's tapered down a bit, which is expected and good. But right now, near future goal is just trying to get the word out more. I'm starting to get customers and followers on my Instagram that I don't know, which is
awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's so great. So we did like a giveaway this week that got a lot of people having to be followers and to share stuff. And so that was a really good promotional thing for us.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out, okay, how much advertising do we want to do? Can we do? Financially, can we do? Are we ready for bigger numbers? So I think short term, that is kind of where we're at, is just getting the name out there, getting the brand out there. Long term, still not very long term. I'm still praying and thinking and waiting for God to tell me long term.
Right.
But I want to get involved with coffee shops and things like that, Christian bookstores, to be able to sell my blends of tea in the shops.
Yes.
Because all of my blends are Christian. So it's not just like English breakfast.
Right.
But so they all have names like God of all comfort or joy of the Lord, things like that.
Yes.
And so
that would pair well, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's selling just everything's loose leaf. So selling bags of loose leaf tea on shelves, or selling to a coffee shop that they can sell in their shops.
Yeah, that would be
as a cup of tea. So that's, I'm trying to get kind of in that market a little bit. I don't know, a physical location for myself, I don't think is in the near future.
Yeah.
Because right now it's all online sales. But I think that going that route for now is going to be where we're going to go next.
I love it. Yeah. I'm excited to see how it will continue to evolve and blossom.
Me too. I'm excited.
So cool. And I'm excited to continue to learn more too. And I think that is something that would resonate with a lot of people, is having kind of teas that are like specific for different parts of their like faith journey in a way, which is really cool. So well, I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing the journey. I know it's a lot of work to get.
It's a lot.
Something
it's a lot.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
First off, on launching, because that's like a huge deal.
Yes.
You did it.
Yes.
And now, just the build and continuing to like keep it moving forward. So I understand that feeling of like trying to get moving, but very, very cool. So something I know, it's crazy how fast time flies when we're talking.
Oh, it does.
I would love to hear, what is something you might want to share with other artists right now?
Yeah. So I was praying about that, and I feel like just finding that support system, finding people that are around you that are going to encourage you. I know that as artists, we can get in our head a lot. As dancers, we're supposed to stand in front of a mirror all day.
Yeah.
Like that's, it's hard. It's really hard just standing and seeing yourself, flaws and all. So just having people that are going to help combat those lies when they come in, that the enemy's going to hit you with. Like I said earlier, like my mind is where the enemy attacks me the most. And I feel like for a lot of artists, that's the case.
Yeah, I think so.
Of just that self-doubt, that just doubt in general of that, am I doing the right thing? The doubt, the comparison, the imposter syndrome, all of that happens, I feel like, as artists specifically. And just really, really praying for that support system, because you and the Lord, yes, awesome. That's all you need technically.
Right.
But God's going to give you people that are going to speak to you through him. And just, finding that group of people that if you're starting something new, if you're jumping out in faith, just having a couple people around you saying, you're doing good. You're doing well. Yeah, I think that is something that I am super blessed with, and just really would encourage you. Yes, I'm doing it technically alone, but I'm not alone. I have all my people around me, which is really good. I
feel like, that's so good. And I feel like that's something you hear a lot when people, you kind of think like, oh, they're just like making this happen. But then when you really get down into it, it's like, they really do have a village and like a support system and people that are with them and for them. And you're like, I definitely could not have done that on my own. So
Oh no.
I think that's such a good encouragement and good truth that we can all lean into, and kind of, like you said, praying for, like, who are those people that I should be like connecting myself with to have that, support system, and who can I support too,
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
awesome.
And something else that I've been really working on, honestly, in the past like couple weeks, was like, okay, I know the enemy likes to attack my thought process and my mind and my doubt and things like that. So I started praying. I was like, okay, how do I strengthen the armor? How does God strengthen which armor piece? I was like, okay, helmet of salvation guards my mind. What does that mean exactly? And so I started praying through that, and the salvation that we have through Jesus's blood on the cross makes us perfect in the eyes of the Lord. Like, we are enough. I'm preaching to myself. Like, we are enough in him because of that salvation. So honestly, like, preaching the gospel to yourself every day is like so important, to just guard your mind from those lies of just like, I mean, almost every day of like, you're not enough, you can't make it, you're not worth it, things like that come in. How are we going to strengthen? Through the helmet of salvation, of just literally preaching the blood of Christ over your mind every day to yourself, because that's saying you are enough, you are worth it, you are perfect in the eyes of the Lord. You might be a hot mess out here, but like your mind can be guarded by that salvation that we have. So I've been literally working on that this week.
Yes. So. I'm like over here, like, so good. Yeah. That's a huge kind of revelation to have, and to just be like reminded of that the gospel is such a powerful protection for us in our minds and our thoughts. So good. Thank you for sharing. So, this has been so much fun and really, really cool to hear more of the backstory behind TeaJoy Daily Devotionals. So what is the best way for people to connect with you, but also with TeaJoy?
Yes. So TeaJoy's website is TeaJoyDailyDevotionals.com. Our Instagram handle is at TeaJoy Daily Devotionals. We're on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. I don't have a lot on YouTube yet, but that's the next step in the road. We're going to have YouTube videos. I think I only have 2 up right now, but so that's TeaJoy stuff. Everything's TeaJoy Daily Devotionals. And then my personal handle is Boulder28 on Instagram.
Awesome. Yay. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited for people to get to check you out and check out what's going on with TeaJoy, and hopefully enjoy trying some of the tea. And I'm looking forward to doing that too.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. I had so much fun getting to know Kaya, and I was so encouraged by her courage in stepping out in faith and all the wisdom and advice that she gave about her journey as an entrepreneur. Be sure to join us for the next few weeks as we continue this mini series. It's going to be so much fun. You can find all the links, the full show notes, and additional resources on our website, creativeimpactpodcast.com. If you're enjoying the podcast, I invite you to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. And if you'd be willing to leave a rating and review, that would mean the world. It really does help other people to find the show. And if you know anyone who is starting their own business or are really considering pursuing a dream, you can let them know about this mini series and hopefully encourage them in their journey as well. So you guys, next week, I'm going to be joined by Michelle Brogan, who is the founder of Dance Revolution. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've probably heard Dance Revolution mentioned multiple times, and Michelle is a powerhouse. She is just so much fun to talk to, and I can't wait for you to hear her story and her encouragement for entrepreneurs as well. Whether you've been listening a long time or this is your first episode to join us, thank you so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show was produced by Michael Cash. You can check out our Patreon community where you can support the show at creativeimpactpodcast.com/PATREON. I'm so excited to be with you again next week. Woohoo! Back to weekly episodes. And until next time, remember that you were designed to create. You were made to inspire. Continue living with purpose and making an impact. See you next time, friends.